Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So there's some really cool things going down in Humanity First that I would like to share with you today. Let's just go through the presentation first, and then we'll continue afterwards. This 13 minutes I have, 12 minutes, and then 3 minutes questions. Cool. So aqua farming, it sounds quite cool. That's because it is. It's to do with harnessing water from thin air. Let me reveal a bit of an unseen sublime for you guys. We're actually surrounded by water. There's water which is in the air that we breathe. There's water which is above us in the clouds. There's water which is below us in groundwater. And we're actually surrounded by water. So that's something which you don't really see, like, right from the outset, but you can peep it from the inside. So we're actually surrounded by water. We're actually little fish surrounding, like, in the earth. So, yeah. This one? Yeah. Okay. Okay. I like moving around, so you confine me to this dice. So, okay, cool. That's all right. So, Allah directs our attention to the importance of water. Water is essential for every living thing to exist. It's a very fundamental building block of life. Without water, there is no life, organic life. This is the main driving force of science. We're going out to Mars and we're doing all these crazy things for the search of water. And Allah points our direction to the essence of it being a fundamental building block. I've put together a few verses from the Quran. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they're just there for your information. Allah directs our attention to the phenomenon of water and its use in the earth. I want to just bring your attention to the last one over here. See you not that Allah drives the clouds gently, then joins them together, then makes them into a heap of layers, and you see the rain comes forth from between them. He's describing here the water cycle. And for me, when I read this, I went through the Quran, went through the index, looked at what verses are to do with water. And when I went through these, I didn't just read the English, because by the grace of Allah I know Arabic, so I can go into the Arabic. The very first, see you not, is alam tara. And when I read that, it gives me the feeling of Allah's telling me to go and do some research in this, go and look at this. And so we'll come back to this verse later on in the slide. So, peep this. Just a nice way of saying check this out because it's really cool. Around 70% of the Earth's surface is made up of water. And of that, 1% sustains all organic life on Earth. That's quite a fascinating thing. One child dies every 15 seconds from a lack of access to clean water. And diseases in water which are preventable. So that is like, throughout my presentation, over 350 kids would have died from, water illnesses and diseases. And that's quite shocking. And for me, it gives me a sense of urgency to actually do something about it. 200 million work hours are taken up every single day by women going to collect water. As Ahmadiyya Muslims, we know the vital role that women play in a society, in a home, and in upbringing of a nation. If women are using 200 million work hours to go and fetch water, and instead if they use that time to bring up the families, how much stronger will a country and a nation be? So that's quite a cool thing to have a look at and conceptualize. Okay, so over here, drum roll please, we have the India Mark II pump. It is the world's most commonly used water pump across all water charities. But it comes with a few problems, naturally. Lack of access comes about when various factors play. For example, when a charity goes out into Africa and goes and delivers a water well or does a new bore, after a while, after they leave that place, sometimes tribal regulation comes into place. So we have like elders of a tribe or a community that come and they lay claim to it and they regulate its use. Whereas a lot of charities do a kind of unbiased service to humanity. Whereas when we go into the little communities, they kind of regulate it. We also have theft, which is a problem. People, where's this little way? Some people take this top bit and they sell it, or it's nothing really that's inside it, it's just a chain and a little lever, but they take it and they steal it because the level of people are born into poverty, people are born into that kind of environment. So whatever they can find, they take and they use it. Also, what happens is sometimes there's a bit of a lock, a cage which is put over it, and is locked and is regulated per, like, from 9 to 5 you can use it. And sometimes there's good reason for it, because the water table, there's something called the water table, which groundwater, it's the top of where the groundwater is in the ground. I should have actually given you a bit more of a thing into this. But when the water table reduces, there's obviously a lack of access to it, and people who have water pumps in their areas stop using it because of that. They wait for the water table to rise again for it to be used again. So there's some issues pertaining to a lack of access of the India Mark II pump. Sometimes in the actual deployment of these, the India Mark II handbook says that a water pump should be at least 40 meters from the nearest latrine. And a latrine is essentially a hole in the ground where people defecate in. And the reason for that is because the defecation in the massive pits actually contaminates groundwater over a long period of time, and it has to be at least 40 meters from the area, from the water pump. I was flown out to Sierra Leone from Humanity First. I work full-time at Humanities First since April of this year. And I was flown out to Sierra Leone to, my mission was twofold. It was to report on our projects since the Ebola crisis, because no one had been out since the Ebola crisis in Sierra Leone, and just to kind of report on what's been happening and to relaunch a few projects. So out there, I had a first-hand look at these water pumps and the challenges that are faced. And yeah, so what I realized was that when there is an issue with our water pumps, there's a lack of access. People can't have water. They can't have clean water. What do? They go back to the rivers, or they go to other water sources and they find water, which oftentimes is contaminated. The Aqua Farming project fits into to kind of bridge this gap between non-accessibility to clean drinking water and when the pump gets fixed. One other thing I want to mention, which is a problem which is faced by these, is that each hand pump comes with a type of a maintenance kit, which is like a massive wrench and a few other things. Now, when we deploy in a country, in Sierra Leone, we have over 30 plus water pumps, and there's only 2 kits in the whole country. And of those kits, there's only one person who's able to do it, who has the knowledge to go and fix it, and he works full-time somewhere else. So there's a lot of issues and challenges which are here. And me having this mind that I have, I want to find a solution, and this is it. Aqua farming is it. Biomimicry is an amazing word. And the verse which, the last verse of all those many ones that I showed you guys earlier, points towards it. Allah says, do you not look at, have a look at what I've created? Do you not see what marvel and what genius is nature? And from that, what has happened is I've come up with a concept which harnesses a microclimate, essentially. And I want to show you this because it's actually quite cool. So this is it. Just put that here. Essentially, this is all it is. It's a bottle with another bottle inside it. Let me show you. Inside here, there's an inner bottle. You can all see it? Yeah? Cool. I made this especially for you guys. So over here you can see the actual, I'm going to leave this propped up here if you can see it. So you guys can actually see the inner workings of the bowl. I'm going to go through this whole thing with you guys now. Cool. So the components of what actually, this is version 1.1. Everything in science is, I'm not a scientist, I'm just a passionate believer, and this is what has come from it. So this is going to be refined going forward, but this is version 1.1 that I thought I have to just do it because it's 1.1, man. Cool. So we have a feeder tube, which is represented by this biro pen, which its purpose is to just put water inside here into the inner bottle, and you can see. And that is water which is dirty, which has got bacteria in it. Even salt water that you get from the sea, you can put it in there. We have the inner bottle, as you can see, the blue one. Inside the inner bottle is it's a piece of card, essentially, but it's a catalyst. And the whole purpose of it is that is to increase the surface area of the water which is put inside there, which aids in evaporation. We have the outer bottle, this big one over here, big Coke bottle. And the only useful thing about this is the inner wall of the bottle, which collects the moisture. And we have a collection chamber at the bottom. I don't have one here. You can either, what I've done on this one is I've put a hole in the bottom here. And you can either put a hole in another cap and put another bottle there to collect the water that comes into it. Or you can do it en masse and, yeah, 2 minutes, okay, cool. You can do it en masse and you can pipe it with different things. So it can actually be a part of a larger system. So this is how it works. You put the water inside it. It goes into the inner bottle inside here. It soaks up, increasing the surface area. This whole thing is actually airtight. So it is a microclimate inside there. It's hotter inside than it is outside. And what happens is it condenses. Water from the inside condenses on the outside. Bacteria is lost in the process and it filters down and it creates water that you can drink. This beautiful picture made on Microsoft Paint. So the results, water yield tests were positive. In one day we were able to make the equivalent of 1 Coke can of water from one of these. When you do it en masse, you can see the scalability, it works a lot. Also, we need to refine this model and make it better and work more better. There's some really cool thing called hydrophilics and hydrophobia, hydrophilia, yeah, the love of wet things and moist things and the hate of it. So hydrophobics is to do with this type of, this gizmo inside there where it soaks up water and what we can do what material we can use to aid that process and catalyze it more quickly. Design concepts such as the thickness of the plastic and different catalyzers to use. And we need to research more into this. Next steps, do some more research, evaluate some more, implementation en masse. For me, I've drafted this as a 3-year plan. We're going to send this out to Sierra Leone and in Gambia in spring next year and see what it's like throughout the whole year and then evaluate it. And Uncle Samir over here, he says we need you. He's converted to Humanity First and I need you guys to come as well. I'm going to actually, okay, don't worry about that. There's a quote which I'm going to just finish on. And this is in Hazur's recent address, and it's written in a publication called Faith and Altruism, which I have with me back there. I'm going to paraphrase what he said. He initially said, Humanity First, which is the organization I work for, its very idea of what you should be doing is in the name. So the first needs of the people, the first thing you should be doing is the needs of humanity, and then your own, needs second. So with that in mind, that's what we're kind of doing at Humanity First. I've got no background in science, but through this and through what Allah has, pointed my attention towards, He's revealing the unseen to me in these ways, and I would need your help to progress it forward. This is only a few months old, but in a few years' time, what could it be is it could provide a real solution to people, and this is very readily available. It's just 2 plastic bottles. The simplest of ideas are sometimes the most effective. And with that, I can finish. I think there's no time for questions, or if we have, yeah.